Hey Garrick, it's Jim. Sorry about the delay in making this video for you, man. I saw your post and intended to make you one and just forgot to add you to the list. I apologize for that, but want to get this out to you. You may have seen in my other videos that I really like shooting from the hip when I make the videos and just being really, really candid. I find that that's the most helpful thing that I can do. So let's get right into it. All right, so I'm glad that you have a pop-up here. This is great. We'll get into this a little bit later, but one of my companies, this is something we offer, pop-ups to get email addresses. Really, really important. I would just say that this particular application, it looks complicated. Nothing wrong with whatever tool you're using, just the application of it is complicated. I have to click here. I can't just enter my email. So my first thought is just to X out of this just because there's so many words and it just seems really, really complicated to do. So, but more on that later. Okay, on your site, the most important thing, the most important area of your site, the most important real estate on your site is before the fold, meaning before I scroll down. So this area is absolutely critical. When someone comes to your site, you need to convey to them in less than 2 seconds what it is that you do. And then based on that, they make a decision, is this for me? Okay, so one of the ways to know, to test if you're doing this well is not just my opinion or other people's opinion, but to actually look at your analytics. So if you look at your Google Analytics data, take a look and see what your bounce rate is. See how quickly people bounce from your page, meaning people exit your page. If they're exiting within just a few seconds, that could be indicative of a couple things. The first problem may be that you're bringing traffic to the site that's the wrong fit. If I'm a dog guy and you send me to a cat site, I'm going to leave. So if you're pulling traffic in, think about kind of a broad gate that you're bringing traffic through that's not really well qualified, then part of the issue could be that it's just not good quality traffic, not relevant traffic to your site. So you do need to figure that out first. Secondly, let's say you're bringing in quality traffic, you know that's relevant traffic interested in yarn or in your niche, and they're still bouncing. They may not know what it is that you do, and they may not know that quickly enough. So let's kind of explore that a little bit more. Just in general, I'm a really big fan of a certain type of design, especially for e-commerce, but it works well across many sites. So if you go to my blog.groovejar.com, this first article that you see here, how to boost your conversion rate with a killer first impression, click that. I do a really deep dive into what makes a good first impression on a site and what's important and what's not. And I go through some examples, including photographs of some sites that convert well. So look at these examples. This site here is an e-commerce site. It's obvious what they sell, toy shades. That's built into their brand or logo here, the company name. She's wearing shades. This is called a hero image. It fills the screen. She's very confident, and you can immediately tell what it is that they're selling. I love that the image fills the screen, and then they have their links here, and then the logo right here in the image. This is another example. I've kind of made it messy with my little pink descriptions here, but you can imagine it without that. It's very clear that they sell these bars. There's no question about what they sell. That's made immediately clear through the image here. And then they talk about the bars and feeding a child, and you know there's some emotions conveyed there as well. Another example is this one. So World's Strongest Coffee. This is really punchy, very bold brand, and obviously it matches their product, but it's immediately clear what they offer. There's just no question about it. Not only is it coffee, it's the world's strongest coffee, right? It's very, very specific and niche down. Okay, so if we go back to your site, your design is okay. It's not great. I like the idea of having the design that I showed you, those elements. So there's a couple things. I mean, ideally, if you have the financial resources to do the redesign, I highly recommend doing that. There's a site that I use all the time, not affiliated with them, but I use them. It's called 99 Designs. And basically you put out a request and multiple designers will send you mock-ups and you can pick from those. And they have several different tiers. The one I recommend is about $1,000 and it gets you so just some really good feedback, or a lot of different designs that you can choose from. That can make all of the difference. But that being said, if you don't have the budget for that right now, I understand that. I would just use this real estate in the best way possible. The one thing about sliders is you never know when people land on the site what slider it's going to be on. And if you make them change too quickly, that just gets annoying and overwhelming. If they change too slowly, then people just scroll on and or most likely leave, and they don't know what it is that you sell. Okay. So what I'm more of a fan of is getting your products together, taking a compelling image and having this area. So if you think about it also, like there's a lot of dead white space here that's just being wasted. So imagine if there was less space here, you could get more like this above the fold. So imagine this centered. So if you had none of this, right? Imagine this centered here pulled down a little bit. You have your links here. And I'm just saying these are things you could do without a major redesign. Then you're like right here. Okay, so then imagine you have all of this real estate. You could put a really compelling photograph here. So there's two things you need to do to convey, two things you need to show to convey what it is that you do. One, through imagery, okay? And this isn't bad. Like if you could actually see this in its completion on your screen, this is pretty cool. Like I'm getting the idea that you have these bags. I like the idea better of, one photo with maybe a couple bags and like that's good, that photo there. So you're getting the idea. But yeah, so basically compelling people or educating people as to what you do via a photograph. But you've, on top of that, got to have some sort of a script, some sort of a verbiage, right? Some sort of copy about what it is that you do. And think about how to boil that down in a concise way. The perfect bag for the yarn person. I don't know what the vernacular would be, but think about that. Think about what it is that you sell and how can you articulate that in one line. Okay. So in video is awesome too. Let's check this out. Let me watch. All right, so let me take a pause here and watch. Watched a chunk of this video. This is really great. This compels what it is, or it makes a compelling statement about what it is that you do. My wife would love this bag. So if you find, like she's into knitting, so if you find, you bring the right demographic to your site, then that's going to show them what you do. I would encourage you to embed that. So rather than me having to click on that, I don't know where it went, but rather than me having to click on that, it would be great if that was just right here. So imagine if this whole area was an image, but really the image was just a placeholder for the video, and you could click on it and play it right in line here, right? So then you have the image that describes what you do, you have the video that describes what you do, and it's all just made very clear. So you're on the right track. There's just a few things that need to be improved. These are good quality images. So imagine, so you make that punchy statement on what you do, make it really clear here, and then when people scroll down, they already get it. And they're just making the decision like, oh, which one do I like the best? And you can see all these, and it makes sense what they are. So it's a cool concept. It's a really neat niche. I'm excited to watch your progress because this is a really cool thing. Okay, so let's talk about Instagram real quick. It looks like you're on Instagram. That's great. Okay, so I don't know if you're familiar, but here's an example. There's an app on the Shopify App Store. I don't recall what it is called, but you can search for it. It allows you to convert your Instagram feed into a shopping platform. So if you click here, you can see that you can add this watch to your cart. So that's a really cool idea. But just Instagram is a really great tool, and you can definitely use it in your niche. And I would think Pinterest would probably be good for you too, to bring leads, to bring women to your site that are already into what you sell. And that also serves as a platform to educate people as well. It's not an excuse not to educate them when they're on your site, but they're warmed up to the idea. I guess my point is it's a really good way to make sure you're getting yarn people and not people that are disinterested in your product in the first place. So, okay, let's look at a specific product. Good. So just real quick before I read this copy, a couple things are really important. High quality images, and a lot of them, as many as possible, is really important. You've got this thing where you can zoom in. That's huge. A lot of people don't have that, and it's really important. So I'm really pleased with your images. I wouldn't mind if this image was just a little bit bigger, but that's a small detail. So that's good. This copy is too small. The font is just too small. It's a little bit hard to read, and people are just not likely to read stuff anyway. So if you make that a little bit larger, it'll encourage readability. Okay, so let me read your copy here real quick. It's pretty good. So in your copy, you need to have specifications, which come later, right? They shouldn't be first, but the dimensions, what it's made out of, all those specifications, the details, those are important. But even more than that, and more important, is the emotions that are conveyed. So think about your target customer, right to just her, to one person. What is she feeling? So think about the emotions that she's feeling when she's knitting. It's relaxing, it's calm, it's peaceful, it's meditative, it's whatever it is. Capture those emotions and massage those into your copy. Think about the benefits to her and work that into your copy. Articulate that. Here's an example. It's kind of comical, but nevertheless, it's a good example. So this is just a simple hand soap gel, okay? So they have specifications, details, but then look at this. One whiff of the soothing sea scent, and you will be inspired to stand on the bow of a sailing ship with your arms outstretched like a bird flying towards the shore. So they've captivated emotions and adventure in describing their soap, which I think is really, really cool. So it gets at the point that I'm making in capturing that the essence of emotion. Okay, next is reviews. Reviews are really, really critical. When I go to Amazon and look at a product, if it has no reviews, I don't buy it. I go find one that does. If it has bad reviews, I don't buy it either. And I think that's true for most people. So I get that, you know, it's difficult to get reviews on all your different products, but do whatever you can to push this as a priority, to incentivize people if necessary, to leave reviews, to follow up with them. Like if you ask somebody, first of all, you should be asking somebody for a review after they purchase your product. And don't just ask more than once. If you don't get an answer, ask again. Don't take it that they don't want to leave a review. Take it that they're just busy, and follow up with them a few times and ask for that, because it's just critical for your business to have those listed here. That'll really make a big difference in your conversions. Having related products, that's a given. I mean, you definitely don't want them to leave this page. If they don't like this one, then great, they can go to that. So it's great that you're doing that as well. Okay, let's check out your About page. This is an important one. All right, so a couple things just come to mind immediately. This text is just too small. And people want to connect with people. Like people buy from people, not from brands or companies. So put a picture of yourself. If it's you and your significant other or whatever, put a picture of you guys. If it's just you by yourself, put a picture of yourself. It builds trust and credibility. Make sure your picture, you know, smiling, no sunglasses, happy. That's indicating to people that you stand behind your product, that you stand behind your brand, and will make things right. So that's really important. And I think I said this just now, but making the font larger on this. I like the idea of wrapping the font around, or rather the copy around the image. So, and again, look at the space before the fold. This is your valuable real estate, and this is all you've got here. You're making me scroll down, and that doesn't seem like a big deal, but most web browsers, most web viewers, visitors are just lazy. They don't want to do all that work. So again, bring all this up, wrap the text around the image, introduce yourself, you know, build that trust and credibility. It'll go a long way. Okay, one more thing. Let's go back to your homepage. All right. So if you think about it, when people come to your site, and you're starting to do this with a pop-up that you had, but the most valuable asset that you have is people's attention. If you get an email address from them, you have a way to proactively re-engage them. If not, when they leave your site, they're gone. If you have their email, you can start to work them down your sales funnel, build a relationship with them, offer them incentives to purchase, communicate with them, stay in front of them, stay relevant. That's super, super important. So there's a number of apps out there to do this. My company, GrooveJar, which you saw on the blog, has a tool to do this called GrooveUrgent, and it converts really, really well. It's a pop-up that's based on a countdown timer. We have a free trial that you can check it out. But whether you use me, Garrick, or somebody else, Sumo Me is a good company. Privy is a good company. There's lots of good companies out there. The point is setting this up and starting to collect those leads, those email addresses, and then nurturing that relationship to get them down the buying funnel. You'll see a big difference in your conversions. So, but before you do that, put a priority on the other stuff that I talked about, and specifically making it really clear what it is that you sell, and kind of cleaning up this page here a bit. So, okay, I want to be respectful of your time, not make this video too long. Let me know if you have any specific questions, or if you want to take a deeper dive into any certain subjects. Take care.